Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Douglas and I make fishing videos and tutorials to hopefully inspire you to get out there, try different fishing methods and to help you catch more fish. Well, today guys, now I've got no idea if there's mackerel here. I haven't caught any yet this year, but I've got a feeling that there may be here. What I've been looking for the mackerel showing up is indications. We've had a lot of unsettled weather recently. We've had a lot of strong northerly west winds, and yeah, the weather's just been really unsettled. It's a bit settled today, and like I said, what I've been looking for in terms of indications of mackerel, possible mackerel, and that is the bird life. Over the last month or so, there's been very little bird life in terms of birds diving. And that is one of the things I look for as an indication of whether the bait fish are moving in and possibly the mackerel. So the first sort of signs that I look for are like the terns diving close into the shoreline, and they're obviously diving for bait fish. And then what you're really hoping for is to see the odd gannet diving out in open water. They're going for bigger fish like mackerel or herring. So they are my indications of whether I think there may be mackerel about, and I haven't seen that until recently. And I was out on the shoreline yesterday just having a look about, and I saw a few terns diving close into shore, and for me that's an indication that there's bait fish there. So I thought I'd give it a try today, like I say, just prospecting to see. Back to the venue that I did my last video in, or last few videos actually, and I'm fishing almost the same way. A really easy method. I've got my 11-foot lure rod or spinning rod, 4,000 size reel. I've got 40-pound braid. Now braid is optional. I just use braid because it's what I like to use. I do feel it gets you casting further, and obviously because there's no stretch, you're feeling direct contact with whatever it is you're using. Now I'm almost the same as the last time. The last time I tried to make it as simple as possible, where I had my trace of mackerel feathers. The last time it was a trace of 3, this time I've got a trace of 5, but they are a little bit smaller hooks, and again they're cheapest chips. And so on the end of my braid I've tied on a 10-foot shock leader, and that's 20-pound mono. And that just helps protect the braid going through the top sections of the rod, stops it fraying, stops it catching in the guides. And on the end of my mono I've got a clip swivel, just a small one. Each trace of mackerel feathers should come with a ready tied loop on either end. And really guys, it doesn't matter which way you put your trace. I like to use it what you would say is upside down, where the lures sort of stick out rather than lying down the way. That's just my preference. And like I say, the only difference from the last videos that I showed this easy method was on the other end, on the other loop, on the bottom end, I just looped on a normal 2 or 3 ounce lead weight. But today I've looped on another quick release swivel, clip swivel, and today I'm going to use on the end is a metal lure. Now the reason I didn't use a metal lure the last time is because I wanted to show a method, like I said, that was cheap and easy. Now obviously when you put a metal lure on, that adds a bit of value. You don't want to go losing lures that are costing you £3 or £4, when a weight costs you 90 pence or something like that, depending on the size that you get. But one of the reasons I do like to use a metal lure on the end as my weight, and this is 60 grams, so it's 2 ounce, and I'm just going to hook that onto my quick clip swivel, and as you can see, there's the mackerel feathers there. One of the reasons I do like to use a metal lure, and it might help some of you guys out that ask me a few questions, particularly when you're fishing over shallow venues, and this venue is a shallow venue. It's the same venue as before. It's shallow really close in, then it drops off quite deep into about 40-50 feet of water. And a lot of people have said that they lose a lot of tackle When you use a weight, you've really got to be careful on how long you let that weight sink, because it will continue sinking all the way until you get it back in. But one of the beauties of using a metal lure is it takes a lot longer to sink, and it sort of flutters down to the bottom rather than plummets to the bottom. So that's one of the reasons I like it. It can slow the descent down, you can count it down, and you can sort of vary the depths that you want this to go, rather than a weight that's sinking very fast and you've got to be really quick in getting your line back in. But another reason I like it is because obviously it's an attractor, and often it will pick up bigger mackerel because of its size. Now I've taken off the treble hook that's on this and I've just put on an inline hook. I prefer to do that. It's purely up to yourselves, guys, but I do think it's better for the fish. Yeah, you don't foul hook a lot of fish, and you don't want to foul hook small fish if you intend to put them back. So a small inline hook and it may pick up the odd fish. But purely I'm using it today is just to slow down the descent of the weight. In this case you're using the metal lure, and it's much easier to control over shallow ground. So let's give it a go. Hopefully there's some mackerel about. I've got a feeling there is. It's just a gut feeling that I've got, guys. You know, I've not got a crystal ball. And like I said, but one of the indications for me is the bird life. And when you see them diving, they're usually diving for a reason, and that is bait fish, or in case of the gannets, they're diving for bigger fish like mackerel. So, first cast for the mackerel, here we get on. Now I'm going to let this sink a good bit, probably about a good 16-second count. And same as before, guys, I'm just jigging that in. So jig, wind, until I feel I'm coming into shallower water or shallower ground, and then I'll just do a straight wind. So nothing that cast. That was a good feel for depth, and that's what I'd recommend you do, guys. Whether you're using a weight or whether you're using a metal lure like this, is when you first cast in, maybe do a 5-second count, wind it in, you know, winding, jigging and pausing, or jigging and winding. And just increase that every cast until you hit the fish, and then once you hit the fish, maybe say 10 seconds, then just keep doing that until the fish stop biting. And then try different depths again, just to try and locate the fish again. Now with this metal lure, 2 ounces or 60 grams, I reckon for this particular venue, on my furthest cast, I'm probably looking about a 20-second count until that lure hits the bottom. And guys, you just want to cast as far as you can. That covers more water. Just bear in mind, when you do let your weight or lure sink a lot longer, if you're fishing over a ledge, then you need to determine a time where you need to start winding fast to get over that ledge, otherwise you will lose tackle. So that cast was about a 18-second count, so pretty close to the bottom, and nothing. I'm going to let it hit the bottom this time. I know it's muddy out there, but as long as I, at a certain stage, start winding in a bit quicker, that should get it over that ledge. That was 26 seconds until it hit the bottom. Now because I'm a lot deeper, I am winding in a bit quicker after each lift, just to ensure I'm going to get it over that ledge. Otherwise I'm just going to lose everything. And a lot of times when you're letting your weight, or in particular your metal lure, because it's sinking much slower, you'll find that when the mackerel are really in, that you'll get hits on the way down, and you may even get a hookup as well. So it's a good idea once your weight or your metal lure is sinking, is just have a bit of tension on your line so that you can feel it going through the water. And it's one of the reasons that I do like to use braid, is you have that direct contact because of the zero stretch. Let's try a different direction, casting up the way. Now the tide is on its way in. It's probably about 2 hours after low tide, and I do prefer to fish an incoming tide for mackerel. I do think an incoming tide brings in fresh fish and bait fish as well. And the main thing is, guys, if you come to a venue and you've got a long stretch or a long beach, or like this, it's a long sort of broken beach, don't stick at the same spot all day. You know, if you've come for the day, walk up and down and until you locate the fish. If the fish are here, you will catch them. Not sure if this is a fish or a big clump of weed. Now I'm winding in quite quick because if it is a fish, I want to get over that ledge. It's a fish, but it's not the one I want. Starfish. So that just shows you that, you know, that weight or the lure is quite close to the bottom. Probably picked it up coming over that ledge. Now, you know, many people will watch this that are fishermen and think, what a boring way to fish. And yeah, it's not the most exciting ways to fish, but you know, most people go mackerel fishing because, one, it's easy, two, it's a summer thing, it's great for getting kids into fishing. But what's becoming more of a trend, I feel, today is people want to go out, they're not particularly fishermen or anglers, but they just want to go out and catch some fresh fish that tastes bloody amazing. And mackerel is one of those fish. You know, for me, you know, mackerel are one of the best tasting fish in the sea, and they're really good for you and really underestimated. Now guys, I think I've got my first mackerel. I think some have come off, definitely. Oh, that's lovely size as well. Brilliant. So guys, today worked out perfectly for the mackerel. And when I was fishing, I saw that gannet over the water. It looked like it was hunting, And to be honest, if you see a gannet here, they're here for a reason. Anyway guys, 30 centimetres is the minimum legal size limit for catching mackerel for recreational purposes. So what I thought I'd do, guys, is I'm going to do this fish justice, and I'm going to cook it here right on the shore, and I'm going to smoke it. So I did a little sort of catch and cook a while ago, and I used this biscuit tin. Now this biscuit tin is 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres, so a square tin, and it's probably about 8 centimetres deep. And as you can see from the mackerel, it's well over the 30 centimetres. And yeah, so I'm going to smoke it in this tin. This little tin has done me well over the last couple of years, so I've used it for smoking and obviously cooking. And I've got a little stainless steel mesh tray, a couple of little wires to lay it on, and inside the tin I've just got 4 little bolts with which are stainless steel, and they're probably at the halfway mark, just to keep that grill away from the heat source. And I'm just going to smoke that using some wood chips. And the wood chips I've got today are beech wood. I like smoking with the beech wood. It's quite a delicate smoky flavour that you get from it. You just go with what you've got, guys. Oak is fine, applewood's fine. I just feel that the beech wood gives a more delicate smoky flavour, and that's why I like it. But I'm only going to smoke this for a short period of time, literally 15 minutes. So firstly, let's get the mackerel filleted. Nice filleting knife. So take the knife blade in behind the pectoral fin and gently cut down to the backbone. You'll feel that with the knife, and then quickly angle the knife flat against the backbone, and then just run the knife along the backbone towards the tail. Lovely fillet. And the same again with the other side. Now I didn't gut this first. If I was keeping it for a long time, I would gut the fish. And again, knife behind the pectoral fin on the opposite side. Turn the knife round, you'll feel the knife flat against the backbone. Hold on to the head with one hand and just gently run the knife down the backbone. Not putting too much pressure, just in case you go through the backbone with the knife. Clean up the fillets with some fresh seawater. I'll be back in a minute. So now that I've given them a rinse off with fresh seawater, I've got nice clean fillets, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to remove the rib cage, which is just easy knife. You can feel the rib cage there, and you can see that sort of dark patch, the belly part of the fish. Perfect. Now this belly strip, this is brilliant bait for sea trout or bass, both sides. I'll keep that, take it back, put it in the freezer, salt it. Now just with some clean kitchen paper, I'm just going to give them a little pat dry. I'm going to do the skin side as well. I've got some sea salt and black pepper already in a little Ziploc bag, already mixed up, and I'm going to give them a generous seasoning before I put them on the smoker. Give them a little pat. And I'm going to do the skin side as well, just to stop it sticking a little bit on the smoker. For a heat source, I'm just going to use my little cheap stove that I've got. I've had this for I don't know how many years now. And I've got a big rock here, the wind's coming this way, so a bit of shelter behind the rock. Relatively flat surface. It's a bit rusty, but it does the trick. Getting the tin ready. Now this is the wood chips, and I've already soaked these in some water for about 15 minutes or something like that in a bottle, and then I took them out and put them in this little Ziploc bag. Now the reason I've done that is it makes the chips a little bit damp and it stops them burning too quickly. You get more of a slower burn. Just put them in the centre, that's where the heat source is going to be, and it's just a little handful, that's all you need. It's, like I say, this is just a delicate smoke. Mackerel, they don't need a lot of time to cook. This will be on for about 15 minutes. That'll be well than enough. It's, like I say, it's just a gentle smoke, delicate flavour. Put the mackerel fillets on the griddle. And I've got a couple of wires on the little grill just so I can lift them on and off quite easily. Before I put the lid on, I just make sure that it's smoking properly, heat's coming through. Hopefully I've got enough gas left in this propane tank. And just wait until I see some smoke. See a little bit of smoke starting there now. Get the lid on. And leave that for 15 minutes. I'll turn the heat off and then just let whatever smoke's left permeate and be done. 20-25 minutes tops. So guys, I'm actually going to stop the cooking time at 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes will be more than enough. So heat off, and I'm going to just leave that for about 5 to 10 minutes at the most, just with the residual heat in there and steam, and obviously some smoke just to permeate the fish a little bit better, and it'll be cool enough for me to handle. So what I did at the start is, when obviously you saw it on camera, you saw the smoke starting, I put the lid on, and then once the lid was on, I turned the heat down just to a low setting, and I let that cook for 10 minutes. I just think the 10 minutes will be better. I don't want to overcook it, and I don't want to dry it out too much, because obviously there will be residual heat in there as well. So it's been 10 minutes since they turned the heat source off, so I'm just going to gently open this. I can feel it's still nice and warm inside. The tin's cold. Let's see if they're moist. I even think that the 10 minutes might have been too long. Well everyone, I'm really looking forward to tasting this. First mackerel of 24. Hopefully it's nice and succulent, nice and moist. I'm just going to take it off the tray, just to show you. And obviously I haven't deboned it or anything, because it's obviously cooked. The bones are so easy just to pick out when it's cooked. Do you know what? I think the 10 minutes might have been perfect. Still moist, just flaking lovely. Look at that. Oh man, that is superb. I would say if anything, maybe 9 minutes. 15 minutes would have been way too long. It would have dried out too much. I think the next time, 9 minutes is on the money. Lovely peppery taste with the salt and pepper, and just delicately smoked. You can see in the tray that most of the chips are burned off. There's just a couple that's not, some of the thicker ones. And that's what you're looking for, really. You don't want the chips to be so burnt that it starts being like acrid. Perfect, absolutely perfect. This is a treat. You can see the, don't know if you can see, but the natural oils. So it's still quite moist. So good. Nice glass of wine would have been nice, but I'm driving. Unbelievable. What a fish. So underestimated, that fish. Mackerel. Humble. So good for you. Full of omega-3. Give you one last look, guys. It is still moist, but I reckon a minute less and it would have been perfect. Lovely and delicately smoked. I think most people, when they do mackerel, they have a tendency to over smoke it and overpower it. You know, it is hot smoking. It is getting cooked through almost straight away within that time frame, 9 minutes. Too much wood chips, it would just overpower it. And when I first saw it, I thought to myself, it looks really dark. And I thought to myself, it may have over smoked it, but that is perfect. The odd bone, but very little. And this size of smoker, you know, 25 by 25, could have got 4 fillets on there. Could have even maybe got 6 on at that size, just as long as I placed them properly. But you want a little gap between them just to let the smoke permeate between the fillets. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you liked this little video. The mackerel are definitely here. Give it a go, use the methods that I showed you, and if you want to see the last year's video on the similar method, I'll leave a link down below. Go and check that out, and I'll leave another link for some of the knots that I use in the description, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Piscator UK. Oh man.